Hello my beautiful, distinguished YouTube viewers. It's your boy, Gussie Do. And today, Gussie will be doing full Clone Trooper Phase 2 build, all on the Bambu Labs P1S. So, welcome back guys, and surprise, I bet you didn't see this one coming. Took me a fair while to make, a lot of sanding involved, a lot of first time stuff for me, and I hope you enjoy this video. Basically, this is like a part tutorial, part build along with me and just discover, you know, this journey of building my first ever full 3D printed helmet, and hopefully I can help you and you can relate to me and I can relate to you, and maybe we can help learn some stuff from one another and just have fun with the whole process. But yeah, this is just me building the helmet, and believe me when they say sanding takes a long time, oh my god, understatement. But yeah, let's get into the video. So guys, I've just been busily sanding away. I've been doing the preliminary sanding on the helmet after I put it all together. I've been going 80 grit all over just to rough up the surface and try and take down the layer lines and rough it up so that the paint will stick to it better. But what I really wanted to talk about was these parts that I have down here that you can't see. The speaker ones actually turned out really well. Like the mesh right there on the top is actually like really good and really quite clean. And because of the way they printed, they've just got a little bit of cleaning up to do on the bottom side there, which is really not that bad. But the really interesting thing is the bottom piece of the chin. I printed this in two ways. So this one I've already taken the supports off of. And as you might be able to see, it's a bit scuffed up here because it printed on the bed like this. And then for this one, I decided to print it, so instead of printing it with the curved side down, I printed it with the curved side up on this piece. As you can see, I've left the supports still on there so you can see. And I actually think that this piece, where I haven't put it flat, has actually turned out better. The little circles at the top are more detailed, and the actual curve looks way better. But these side pieces, or like head side of the helmet pieces, have turned out perfect, and I'm gonna need almost no sanding at all. They're super smooth, super crisp, so they're great. One of the next steps with the helmet now that I'm gonna take is I've been but on my research that I've done about the best ways to go about this sort of things is Maker's Muse. He's a really good Australian channel for 3D printing, and he suggests this Septone spray putty so basically most of the stuff that you're going to use for 3D printing, especially in Australia, is going to be automotive related, just because body fillers and plastic of panels for cars kind of is similar. So these are the types of equipment and products we're going to be using. But this acrylic spray putty looks good because it's easy sanding, high build, and has top coat adhesion. So should be able to spray it on, and it should help me fill in my layer lines, and then I can sand it down again and make it more smooth. But my only real problem areas, as everyone will have, is the very top of the helmet. There's a couple, it's pretty heavily lined up here, just because that's how it came out on the printer. Again, layer lines. I have sanded them down fairly thoroughly, but we'll see how that goes. That could be a problem area. And the other problem area, as I've discussed in the previous video, is just the bottom of the prints. They get this like real super, I don't know, rough appearance. And for that, I'm going to be happy to experiment with just a little bit, again, Septone car filler. So it's like a two-part thing, a two-part lightweight polyester body filler pretty much. So again, car related. And you mix it yourself with the mix and a little bit of activator, like 50:1 I think. Apparently it's very toxic and fumes and all that, but we're going to try it out because I want to see if it's worth it or not pretty much, or if you can just get by with just a spray putty. So we'll try both and I'll see what you think and I'll report back to you. So I've just done my first coat with the Septone acrylic spray putty. It's turned the helmet very blue. and it's definitely much easier to see now where I have and haven't sanded, or where the layer lines are thicker and not thicker. I've got this very fluffy texture all over the helmet, and I did read about people saying if you sand too much, PLA will give you this fluffy look, but I don't know whether or not that's a downside yet. Looks like with another sanding pass it'll come off really easy. I think I'd rather the putty and the paint adhere better than not have it, if that makes any sense. But yeah, basically the can says you should wait 10 to 15 minutes between coats, and after 3 to 4 coats should be good to go. This definitely looks like it needs more coats, like going off now. I was hoping it might be enough to fill in these crazy top layer lines on the top of the helmet, but they're definitely too egregious, so we're definitely going to have to dip into our car filler reserves on that one. So the body filler is actually quite straightforward to use, but make sure you use a mask, guys, because this stuff reeks and is really bad for you. Make sure you add more hardener than less hardener if you're unsure, because if you put too little hardener in, it won't harden properly and will be messed up. If you put too much in, it just means it'll dry faster. Worst case scenario, you have to sand it back down. Alright guys, so I've more or less masked up everything for the blue section on the Clone Trooper helmet here. As you'll see from the video, I kind of just eyeballed the general shape of it because that's the way I roll. At least for this helmet, my first helmet. I know nothing's gonna be perfect, so I'm just like, you know what? Let's really just go with it and just run that vibe. Nah, but also I did take my little measuring sticky out a couple times and saw that it was like, you know, 3 and something. So it should be semi-symmetrical at least. The blue. And of course I got my documents up on my command center here to look at what goes where. And I did get the back as well, where it's, you know, I don't know. You guys in the comments I'm sure will know what is where and what should and shouldn't be, and etc. But it looked like there was like a little white stripe here along the back. And whatever, and obviously the fin is also white, so I've taped that up. And then of course I'm going to cover these up completely so that there's no chance of overspray. And actually, now that I remember, I actually have to do these as well, blue. However, the print does come with these little pre-printed guards to help you spray these, but I think there's going to be a fair bit of overspray if I do that, so yeah, I'll think about that one. Cool guys, as you can see, I've taped up the helmet further and covered all those white areas. I've got this Rust-Oleum blue here. It is a gloss deep blue. I would like it to be a matte, but they didn't have any, so we're just gonna have to go with gloss and see how it looks. I'm decided it's gonna get a whole gloss varnish at the end to tie all the colors together and to make it look like a shiny helmet, and then we're gonna weather it down, but it should tie everything together and make it look okay, and we'll see how it looks when it's dry. Another thing I forgot to show you guys taping up is actually these vent parts here. It's kind of hard, bad lighting, but these little vents, because normally on the side of some helmets these will be not, they won't have depth in the helmet. It's just like a surface stencil. It's not like in this helmet they're actually indented. So you could either use, this is part that comes with the Galactic Armory set, these little plastic cutouts to help you spray them, and you could either use them to, as I'm using them, to tape them onto the model and just spray through it and see how that goes, or you could also use it to make a stencil really easily on like a piece of tape and cut out just the holes, then take that off and put it on your model. So one of the two. Yeah, we've taped it all off and just used plastic bags obviously to cover the large amounts of white area that I don't want to be blue. You can use any plastic bag for that, just make sure it doesn't have any holes in it obviously. Yeah, so we're gonna see how this turns out. I got dubbing do here, and spoiler alert, taping the guards to the helmet did not produce the best result, and in fact resulted in quite a lot of overspray. So if I did this again, I'd probably just try and meticulously tape them off, or maybe even try and hand paint them, because to detail up some bits of this helmet, what I would end up doing is spraying a large amount of spray paint onto a piece of cardboard so it would gather up and not dry, and then use that with a scrap paintbrush just to paint over some extra areas. Boom, time skip, but you didn't see that coming. Nah, I'm just kidding. I just filled in a couple more colors with the same process as before and tied some stuff up, but otherwise you're in the know. Just painting here the mesh with Vallejo's dark aluminum or aluminium, whatever you want to call it, and just doing that for now, and then moving on to the weathering stage of weathering it with a black acrylic paint mixed with water, large amounts of water, brushing that on with a thick brush, letting it dry a little bit and settle, and then tapping it off with paper towel. This part is a lot of fun. It's quick, it's easy. If you go too far, you just change mindsets and you go, right, this helmet's going to be super weathered, but otherwise super fun. I did actually coat my helmet with a gloss varnish before this just to protect the paint, because I kept chipping it because I'm an oaf. But also the benefit of doing that is if you do it before you weather with your acrylic paint, then you could use a white spirit to then take off some of that weathering you've done. And now we begin easily the second most difficult part, apart from all the sanding, is putting in the visor. I attempted to use super glue with an activator, but it didn't really work. It didn't get that good of an adhesion, but in the end, hot glue is going to be a best friend, and probably pre-bending it and making sure it's cut to size perfectly is going to be a best friend. I just cut out my welding visor with a Stanley knife on a cutting board and just trimmed accordingly. After the visor, you can now go ahead and install the mesh for the teeth. If you want to do that, optional step. It does look really good if you do it though. Here I've just used some mosquito net heading from Amazon. Yeah, it's just like mosquito net mesh, and it's super cheap and really easy to work with. I just folded it over on itself a couple times, glued it all together, so I had a nice thick appearance. And then just installed that on the helmet as well with hot glue. And you just want to make sure you do the visor first, so that when you put it in, you don't accidentally go on top of the visor. So that's why you want to go visor first. So guys, as I previously said in this video, this whole clone trooper helmet was made on the Bambu Labs P1S. All the big bits, all the small bits, the whole thing. Everything except the visor, of course. And this was just to show that you can make everything on the P1S, or any filament printer you might have, and you don't need resin printers and stuff. You can just get it done. Although for my next helmet, I will be using it for the smaller parts, because I have it, and that's what the perfect use case for it. But you can definitely do it, and the parts honestly turned out great. And if I spent more time and more effort on them, I could make them look even better. But I was just, by the end, I've treated this as a learning process. I just want to get the helmet done and finished so that I can start my next one. Yeah, so for the weathering process, basically, I just did a black acrylic wash over the whole helmet, just trying to let it build up in areas where it naturally would, like any area where basically a panel needs a panel, you let it build up before wiping it off. Other things I did, that I wanted to do actually, was add scratches and things to the paint, but I wasn't really 100% sure how to do that yet, so I'm gonna learn a bit more and come back and do that later. Another thing I did actually was the mesh on this helmet, for the mesh of the speaker nodules here, is I actually just rusted them with a technical paint. I'll put it on screen now what it is. It's like a fake rust effect, and it looks really good. So I use it mainly on my models, my miniature models, but it works great for big stuff too. So one of the hardest things to do with this helmet definitely was masking off areas for painting. I did do all my painting with spray cans, and I don't know whether that makes it harder or not. I guess it does, but if you had an airbrush, maybe it'd be easier and more control and stuff. But that's also another venue to learn and to purchase, and I'm kind of just doing this, that if you have the Bambu Labs printer, you can print this. You can go to your Bunnings, wherever you get all your products from, and sand it, spray paint it, done. Alright, time for reflection. What do I think? Well, first off, I think if you've made it this far and you've watched this video and you have a Bambu Labs printer, make one. Go ahead and start making your helmet right now. Print it, get it printed, and just do it. Doesn't matter the whole time if you're like, oh, I'm messing this up, or I don't really know how to sand or paint that well, oh, I've messed it up. Just stick through, keep doing the steps, work through it. Doesn't have to be perfect, and just get it done, because you'll just be amazed and you'll learn so much. And once you do this final step of weathering, honestly, it ties so much of the helmet together that your own mistakes are going to be indiscernible to someone else. Thanks for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope maybe you learned something or got inspired to start a 3D printing project of your own. And I've got a lot of ideas for future videos, ranging from Warhammer miniatures, Warhammer terrain, more props, all sorts of stuff. So yeah, also if there's anything you think maybe you want to see me do, just obviously leave a comment and I'll definitely do that. Alright, cheers guys.